Hello. Welcome to Life After the Family Home. Smart conversations about downsizing and planning the next chapter. Today's conversation is about something that often starts quietly. What happens when the house feels fine, but the stairs don't? Because for many homeowners, the issue is not that the home is suddenly unlivable. The kitchen still works. The bedrooms are still there. The roof is still doing its job. Nothing dramatic may have happened at all. And yet, one part of the house starts getting your attention in a different way. The stairs. Not because they are impossible. Not because of a crisis. But because they are starting to feel less easy, less convenient, or more noticeable than they used to. This is something Skip Benton with Coldwell Banker Select Real Estate in Northern Nevada has seen many times. A homeowner does not always begin by saying, I need to move. More often it starts with smaller thoughts. I'm going up and down these stairs less than I used to. I carry things more carefully now. I think twice before making another trip. I'm using only part of the house most of the time. I don't love the stairs at night. This layout may not be as comfortable as it once was. Those kinds of thoughts matter because they are often the beginning of a much bigger question. Not, is something wrong with the house? But, does this home still fit the way I want to live? That is a very different question. And for many homeowners, it is the better one. One of the reasons this topic gets overlooked is that people tend to wait for something major before taking it seriously. A fall, an injury, a medical issue, a moment that forces the conversation. But most of the time, the real signals come much earlier than that. The stairs start becoming inconvenient, then tiring, then something you work around, then something you quietly organize your day to avoid. That is worth noticing because once part of the house starts changing your behavior, the home may be telling you something important. Not that you have to move tomorrow, not that the house is bad, not that you are incapable, but that the fit may be shifting. And when the fit starts shifting, planning becomes smart. This is especially true for homeowners who have lived in the same house for many years. A two-story layout may have made perfect sense in an earlier chapter. Bedrooms upstairs. Children running around. More activity. More energy. A household built around movement and space. At that stage of life, stairs may have barely registered. But life changes. The household becomes smaller. Daily routines become simpler. Certain rooms get used less. The upstairs may become mostly storage, guest space, or unused square footage. And the value of convenience starts rising. That is where the conversation becomes less about the house itself, and more about daily living. Because the question is not simply whether stairs are still possible. The question is whether they still support the lifestyle you want. Do they make life easy? Do they make the house feel comfortable? Do they still fit the way you move through the day? Or are they becoming one more thing to manage? That difference matters, because many homeowners stay focused on ability. Can I still do the stairs? But the more useful question is often, do I still want my daily life built around them? That is a more honest question, and it opens the door to better decisions. For some people, the answer may still be yes. The stairs are manageable. The layout still works. The home still feels right. And if that is true, that is fine. This is not a conversation about creating fear where it does not belong. It is a conversation about paying attention before discomfort becomes a limitation. Because when people wait too long, decisions often get narrower. There is less time, less flexibility, less emotional room to think clearly. But when homeowners start asking these questions earlier, they have options. They can consider what kind of home would feel easier, what kind of layout would remove friction, what kind of daily routine would feel more comfortable 5 or 10 years from now. And that is where the idea of lifestyle fit becomes so important. A house can still work on paper, but not support life as smoothly as it once did. That is exactly what stairs often reveal. Not because stairs are automatically bad, but because they highlight effort, extra trips, extra caring, extra thought, extra caution. And when that effort starts becoming more noticeable, it often means the home is requiring more from you than it used to. That does not always show up only physically. Sometimes it shows up mentally too. You start planning around the layout. You avoid going upstairs unless necessary. You leave items in certain places to avoid carrying them up and down. You begin using only the main level for most of daily life. Again, none of that may seem dramatic, but together those choices tell a story. They suggest that part of the house is no longer serving you as naturally as it once did. That is worth taking seriously, because a home should not only be something you can manage, it should support the way you want to live. And that usually means comfort, ease, convenience, confidence in moving through daily life without extra strain or second thought. Another thing that makes this emotional is that the stairs may not be the real issue. that may simply be the first visible sign of a larger shift. A shift toward wanting things to feel easier. A shift toward using less of the house. A shift toward valuing simplicity more than square footage. A shift toward wanting a home that supports the next chapter, not just the last one. That is why homeowners sometimes react strongly to this topic, because it is not only about steps, it is about change. And change is personal. The home may still hold memories. The layout may still feel familiar. The upstairs may still represent years of life. So recognizing that it may no longer fit as well can stir a lot of feeling. That is normal. But it also helps to remember this. Noticing a mismatch is not the same as giving something up. Sometimes it is simply recognizing what would make life better. A one-story layout, fewer obstacles, less unused space, less daily effort, less worry, more comfort. That is not a loss-only conversation. It is a quality of life conversation. And that is a much healthier way to frame it. For some homeowners, the right answer may be staying and making adjustments. For others, the right answer may be simplifying the home and eventually making a move. But either way, the important part is awareness. Because awareness gives you choices. Without awareness, people tend to drift. They keep adapting, keep compensating, keep postponing the conversation. And then one day, what could have been a thoughtful decision becomes an urgent one. That is what you want to avoid. So, if the stairs have started getting your attention, here are a few useful questions to ask. Am I using all levels of this home the way I once did? Do the stairs feel neutral? Or are they becoming something I work around? Am I organizing daily life to avoid parts of the house? Would a different layout make everyday living easier? If nothing changes for the next 5 to 10 years, will this home still feel comfortable? Those questions create clarity. And clarity is what makes good planning possible. Another important point is that convenience matters more than many people admit. There's sometimes a temptation to dismiss comfort concerns because they do not sound serious enough. But comfort matters. Ease matters. A home that fits well can reduce stress in ways that are easy to underestimate. Less strain. Less cluttered movement. Less wasted space. Less daily friction. That adds up. And in many cases, homeowners who do eventually move into a layout that fits better say something very simple afterward. I should have done this sooner. Not because they were forced to, but because they had not realized how much low-level effort the old house had been demanding. That is why it is worth thinking about now. Not with pressure. Not with fear. Just with honesty. If the house feels fine, but the stairs do not, that may be the home telling you that the next chapter deserves a different kind of fit. And there's nothing wrong with listening to that. So, if this has been on your mind lately, here's the takeaway. Do not wait for the stairs to become a major problem before treating them like an important signal. Do not assume that still possible means still ideal. And do not overlook how valuable an easier daily layout can be, because the best home for the next chapter is not always the one you have managed the longest. Sometimes it is the one that asks less of you and gives more back in comfort, ease, and peace of mind. Thank you for joining this conversation on Life After the Family Home. Smart conversations about downsizing and planning the next chapter. For more guidance, connect with Skip Benton with Coldwell Banker Select Real Estate in Northern Nevada.